Welcome to a live edition of Deep Look. We are live every Tuesday, noon Eastern on YouTube. This is Ultiworld's weekly podcast about the current state of Ultimate. I am the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Ultiworld senior editor Keith Rayner on this Tuesday, December 3rd. Keith, I hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving. How was your long weekend?
It was a good holiday. My weekend and my holiday have been a little bit separate. The holiday, went over to see some family and hang out, eat some food. As you know, Charlie, every year we talk about Thanksgiving food. I'm a big fan of mac and cheese. It's like the number one thing I want to get.
You are.
And it's often not at my wife's family's events, but two of our cousins whose mom is a great cook, so they felt like they really had to do a good job. They made mac and cheese. So I got a nice big plate and it was super cheesy. Probably, honestly, maybe a little even too cheesy. Crazy to say, but made for a good dish, and I got to take home some leftovers. So all in all, pretty good. And then this weekend has been, we're doing Miles potty learning. So a lot of running around, no dinner. So it's been a bit of a hectic few days here at the house.
Awesome. Well, I cooked here. I attempted to get everything on the table on time, and I bit off more than I could chew. So dinner came a little bit late, but everything was hot when I got it on the table, so it was all right. Couple days up in the Catskills, relaxing. I took Lewis sledding for the first time. He wasn't so sure about that, but it was fun. A little snow on the ground, so that was great. We got a lot to do today. We've got two early college semis, finals, and champion picks for the 2025 season coming up. We got some great mailbag and trivia per usual, but we're going to begin today with a very special guest. We're super excited to be welcoming in the brand new CEO of USA Ultimate, who has taken over from Tom Crawford a few weeks ago now. Kevin Erlenbach joins us from Colorado Springs. Kevin, welcome to the program.
Thanks. Special guest. This big time. I hope I don't disappoint for you guys. Yeah.
Kevin, I guess first and foremost, how are things going so far as you've kind of started to get transitioned into the role and meeting all the staff and everybody at USAU?
It's been a whirlwind in the best way possible. I had a lot of fun in hockey, but I'm really, really enjoying my time in Ultimate, not only from realizing how unbelievable the staff is here. Like their DNA is Ultimate. It's interwoven with what they do, and then how hard they work and efficient they are. But then even the board members, and getting to know a lot of them, and the professionalism and skill that they bring from their many jobs, roles, whether within Ultimate or not. I think it was week 2. We had a board meeting already, so jumped right in. I think week 1 was budget work, so I haven't messed around at all, but it's been a lot of fun. And today is Hands on Deck day, so I see everybody in the office, which is a nice vibe as well.
I think, folks may already know a little bit about your background with USA Hockey and whatnot, but it'd be great to get a little bit of a quick bio about your history working at USA Hockey and kind of what you've done in your career to this point.
Sure. Yeah. So I was at USA Hockey for close to 19 years. Great chapter in my life. It was a lot of fun, where I got to do many different things and prepare me for this awesome next chapter. At the end there, I was part of the senior leadership group, focused primarily on membership, which had like 5 buckets, if you will. One was our membership servicing. So a lot of how rosters are built, how data flows in and out, how do we make sure people are certified, screened, age appropriate for their teams, helping our members, staying connected with them. And then another bucket was adult hockey. And that included everything from working with the ACHA, which is college club. So very similar to Ultimate's college landscape. There was about 500 programs in that group. So everything from that as an adult to we ran national championships all the way up to 70 and over, believe it or not. And I always laugh that the ambulance got called more on the 40 and over national championships because guys like me think they can still go hard, and then they realize they can't. So the 70 plus was always pretty easy for men and women. And then even some unique events. We had a national pond hockey championships in northern Wisconsin. So on an actual lake in the middle of the North Woods. So that was my adult bucket. And then I got to work on disabled hockey, and a very rewarding, something obviously would love to explore more within the ultimate space. In hockey, there's 6 different disciplines of adaptive hockey. So what you may see in the Paralympics and whatnot with sled hockey to deaf, hard of hearing to people that can play with prosthetics, so standing amputee, special hockey, which was my favorite, and what am I missing here? Blind hockey, which is fairly new, and it's kind of played with a metal puck that is full of ball bearings. And then after that, I was able to help launch our DE&I department. With that one, as I say, I don't know if I led it as I much had a really great teammate who was an expert in a lot of these spaces, and I knocked down roadblocks and provided context in the hockey space, and she provided me how do we work this into our business strategy, and had a lot of fun with that. And then most of my time was spent in it used to be 2 departments. I combined into one called program services, and program services did a couple things. One, it was heavy into growth, helping the 2,000 associations, or like the Discords, we called them associations in hockey, with their growth efforts specifically. Because with time and resources, found that if we could focus on getting more kids at that base level and keeping them in there, it provided for return growth. And so it was heavy growth focused, but the other part was helping empower the volunteer leaders that took on the role of board president, treasurer, hockey director, join these. A lot of times they come in and just do whatever the previous person did, which the previous person could be doing it completely wrong, or applying maybe a little league baseball model to the hockey program. So how do we teach them to as I like to say, lead with intent and kind of enjoy that experience? So we had the people that did a really good job of making sure the on ice experience was top notch, and my team was making sure the off ice experience was the best possible it could be for the parents, the kids, the administrators, and then woven amongst all that, I was the main liaison with the National Hockey League, all their member clubs, and then the Players Association. They figured out a while back that for every member they added at USA Hockey, they gained 3.1 fans. So that's how they get more hockey-related revenue that's shared. So we worked a lot together on how do we get them more involved in expanding the playing atmosphere.
It's a pretty extensive background and covers a lot of different ground. But with Ultimate, obviously it's a pretty different landscape than what you're interacting with in hockey, and certainly on the field versus on the ice. What drew you to Ultimate specifically? What brought you in with USA Ultimate?
Sorry about that. I lost you there, Keith, for a second. What was the question?
I was just asking, what brought you to USA Ultimate, and what about Ultimate drew you to this sport?
For sure. So, my biggest passion in life is I found over time that I feel that sport is the ultimate teaching tool for people, especially with kids, where the soft skills that get missed in life sometimes with just school learning, as far as learning grit, compassion, self-awareness, the social emotional intelligence, it's developed in sport, specifically team sport. And I've become very passionate about making sure finding places and spaces where I can help influence that. And the more and the more I went along with the process with Ultimate, I was blown away with everything that's going on. Like just within the amount of community, the amount of potential, the accessibility, and getting to know a lot of the people, even during the interview process, of how passionate and just even I fell in love with the spirit of the game. I think that more than anything else provides that social emotional inclusivity training that I fell in love with what this product is, and I'm still falling in love with it because I'm right now drinking from a fire hose and it's fun. It's a lot of all encompassing. So also, it was something that really connected with me is that as I engaged and read and talked to people and looked, is that became very apparent that there's a deep entrenched value system amongst the community, of how people treat each other, how they respect each other, and something that I'm very passionate about is making sure that everyone has a seat at the table at the sport. So no one is excluded. If you want to be a part of it, we will make space for you. And to me, that connected with myself, a lot, and something I wanted to be a part of and be a part of that team.
I'm curious how you feel like from what you've seen so far, and I don't think anybody is expecting you to be an expert in ultimate and all of the things that are going on right away. What do you feel like is similar to what you've seen
Hey,
in the
Charlie,
hockey world?
I lost audio again.
Oh, no problem. I'll just restart what I was saying there. Uh, what do you feel like is similar to what you've seen in the hockey world that you're seeing in the ultimate world, and what feels
The
like maybe
ultimate
they're
world.
pretty
What
different?
feels like pretty. I'm going to switch to without the headphones because they keep going in and out. So can you please repeat the question? Sorry about that,
Yeah,
Charlie.
no problem. I'm wondering what you found to be similar between ultimate and hockey from your experience so far, and what feels like pretty different in terms of maybe the way the sport is organized or the participation and like who plays, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the similar part, the similarities so far. I mean, it's been 1 month officially on the job, but the similarities I find is that the people that play it and support it are very passionate about it, which is it's similar to how hockey is. Like you have people that are very much as part of their identity, and they're very protective, but at the same time, it builds a strong community. Um, the structure is not all that different. I think that and it's good and bad. Is that the nice part is that there is a structure there as far as um, the disc orgs and people out in the field. It's definitely not as many as hockey, but at the same time, it's almost not too entrenched in what they think it should be. And what I mean by that is a lot of times in the hockey universe, I had more luck moving the sport forward in non-traditional markets where people are willing to try stuff versus sometimes you go into a place where hockey had been there and was very much around for a long time, and you wanted to work on maybe some inclusion initiatives and whatnot, and people got stuck in their own way as far of no, you play travel, you do this, and you move along to this next line, and they kept running into the wall over and over again instead of looking at how we can consume the sport differently. And so far with ultimate, what I found is that it makes it way different, that people are willing to try different stuff, and almost because it's hasn't scaled to the point of where hockey is, there's a lot less bureaucracy and we can find our own path together, and I find that very exciting in that realm. And even on the field, I find as I've been consuming a lot of it, thanks to Multi World for helping me consume a lot of it, it is especially with the transition game, going defense to offense or vice versa, it's very similar, and I've done it. I actually still coach. My three daughters play. I coach a 15U girls team. So for a little team building the other day, because we're kind of at that age where I got everything from a sixth grader to a sophomore with a driving permit. And so to build team building in that space, we did some ultimate the other day, and it worked really well. It was fun. Team,
Nice.
well, yeah.
Glad to hear that it's playing out. Well, I didn't grow up around hockey by any means, but now that I live up in Connecticut now, having moved up from the South, and it's funny to see how much more a part of the youth culture it is here, and you see a lot of kids playing, and it being something that families are really engaged with. I know that for you, your youth background is something that you bring to the table for USA Ultimate in an area in which the community has voiced is really important to see the growth of the sport. Are there any ideas that you're coming in with, initiatives you want to get started to help grow youth ultimate specifically in this community?
That's a really good question, and I was thinking about it just even as I prepped a little bit for this. Is that it's a little hard to answer at this point because I've been in a month, and I don't want to be I almost find it egotistical for me to say it's going to happen this, and that. Like, obviously, I have ideas, but I'm learning so much from everybody. Really, right now, my priorities and goals is building relationships, connecting and building. I've been on a lot of meetings, a lot of calls, and I will continue to do so with members, with our partners, other stakeholders in the space, people that aren't in the space that aren't a part of USA Ultimate, and why, and kind of find out maybe some of the things that are real or not real, building out just partnerships along the way with the staff. So I think as that goes, more stuff is going to come to the table. I did start the other day down the path of going heavier into the quantitative and qualitative data that does exist to find out not only nationwide where there might be maybe some things to look deeper in, but most of the growth is regionalized, and it's no different in Ultimate. Obviously, a place like Seattle is way more traditional and robust than some other places, so their needs and things we can pilot with them is going to be different than maybe some place where Ultimate is just taking off. And sometimes where it's just taking off is where you find the best ideas. So it's going to be a lot of grassroots hunting, a lot of idea collecting, a lot of piloting, and a lot of teamwork and building those relationships again with building out. The most important thing I find is building out that network of uh, like-minded leaders in the field, volunteers and people that are a part of this. And I know they're stretched very thin. So how do we maximize their resources, maximize their time, and maximize the support as they need in their spaces? And then along the way, we'll find ways of how do we get kids to try the sport? How do we leverage our foundation to get more discs in hands? How do we work with our partners? Because obviously they have a vested interest in the sport growing to spread the reach. So there's a lot there. I know that's a lot of items that without a real hardcore step 1, 2, and 3, but it's kind of connect, consume, pit the pilot, see what we can do better, what we can do wrong, and then, as I like to say, pivot, because I think too many people get stuck on a plan and almost get bullheaded of not deviating. Where I'm a big proponent of, once you go along the way, if something changes and the community changes, try and change with it at the speed of the community, and then repeat. Go back and find what we can do, and along the way, we're going to find items that we can educate and replicate and scale for everybody to utilize.
It's I kind of have a two-part question, so I'll ask them separately so I don't overload you. Um, there has been a lot of friction between USA Ultimate and some of the particularly the biggest local disc organizations, like Disc Northwest in Seattle, um, like Minnesota, places that are doing a really good job of growing Ultimate at the grassroots level, but yet they're having these like infighting battles with USA Ultimate over the affiliate structure, the now essentially defunct state-based organization structure. A lot of that has already started to become changing even before you started as CEO. Um, are you is it a priority for you to like try to rebuild these bridges? Because if I'm being honest, I think the leadership of USA Ultimate over the last 5 to 10 years has largely been combative with organizations that haven't kind of fallen into line, for lack of a better term, with the way that USAU wanted to run things. And I have seen that as a major negative. I don't know kind of like how much in terms of the conversations you've had with folks, if you've noticed that, and is that something that you're looking to improve upon now that you're running the ship?
I've heard items from here and there, and not from, to be honest, not from the mouths themselves of some of these clubs. So that's up to me and on my docket in the short list to who do I need to reach out to first and learn and educate and just find out more information. The nice part is I come at it fresh without any any biases along the way. So I don't know if I can give you a good answer because I don't know enough yet. I've been just kind of consuming the core foundational pieces of just even everything from financials to budgets to all my main directors learning the core of what they do on a daily basis. But that is one thing that I've heard rumblings of. I don't want to underplay or overplay how big the Discord is, or if there is one, but I will. It is a priority for me. I'd be curious what you guys think, like what you've known and where is the biggest uh, misnomers or misses with the two groups?
Um, there's like specific things that have happened, precipitating events, but I would say it's more of like a USAU had a kind of structure that they wanted everybody else to fit into, but the affiliate structure that existed previously didn't really make a lot of sense for a lot of the biggest organizations that already had their own insurance and their own policies, and they were large enough not to need some of the things that a very small community who's just getting off the ground might need. And instead of kind of being responsive to that, USAU basically said, "Do it this way, or we're gonna not let you go to YCC." Um, and so then, there was just like seemingly, in my opinion, totally unnecessary infighting where USAU wasn't being responsive to the differing needs of large orgs and very small orgs.
And the new structure I find very interesting because I came from a universe where it was affiliate based,
Right.
and they did a lot of great stuff, and that also was part of building out that big network of like-minded army of volunteers to drive it. But it's definitely not a perfect system, and there is things that you wish you could push along faster. So I'm I'm very much, you know, positive and interested in the new structure, and like along the way, I'm just going to learn from these groups and see what we can do together, and where we can be intersected along the way.
So just one other little follow up here. I don't know how you feel about it. You came into the organization when they had already implemented a new strategic plan about 6 months ago. Um, do you like the strategic plan? Because normally a CEO would be heavily involved in sort of creating that. Um, so are there things that you want to do differently? Maybe it's too early to say, but I figured I'd ask you.
No, actually, that's one of the things I really liked about, that goes along with not only community, but how hyper focused it was. Um, I've been a part of strategic planning pieces before where they try to be, for lack of a better term, something for everybody, and it becomes nothing for nobody. Sorry, bad grammatically, but um, sometimes, especially in the NGB space, there is so many initiatives, and people are passionate about their little space. Whether even from when I came in hockey, like some people are very passionate about high school hockey, and if they feel like they're not getting equal bandwidth, it derails the process. And there's items that are outdated a little bit that, while they may have a place, don't need as much of a focus, and people feel if it's not part of the strategic plan, then they're not important. I like how the strategic plan was very hyper focused on, as a group, at the 10,000-foot level, this is where we're going to move. There's going to be other existing pieces, but to me, it's very clear where we need to go in the marching order. So I have no problem with it. I was actually very enthralled with, especially sometimes with the nonprofit and not knowing the board. People tend to be all over the place with their own. They tend not to take off their hat from what they hold closer to heart, or the geography where they want to apply how the sport is played in their backyard to a national model, where this provides more of, to me, marching orders for everybody. And we'll go and pivot.
That makes sense. And you're coming in with a background from outside of Ultimate, and being able to do that allows you to bring an external perspective from what so many people within the Ultimate community see. I'm curious with your initial impressions of potential areas that Ultimate, as a large organized sport, could be growing that you see in hockey or in other areas. If there's blind spots potentially that Ultimate hasn't really captured, that you get from that outside perspective.
There's a lot that's really piqued my interest along the way. The youth part obviously is very intriguing to me, and here's how I see it, both as a sport professional and as a parent. So I have three daughters, all high school and middle schoolers. And what I've noticed is that Ultimate's got a cool opportunity where there's that sports sampling piece specifically at 5, 6, 7 years old, where your kids are trying a little bit of everything, and hopefully coming out of that shotgun mess, it's you pick a sport or two and it's yours. Now we have a space where kids have come out. They may or may not be playing their sport, but I always find at this age that they're trying to find themselves. And at the same time, what they did as a 9 and 10-year-old isn't their passion. And they're looking for their own community. And I think that middle school specifically and into the high school, this is going to be a sport going back to that, a seat at a table for everybody. Just even anecdotally as a parent, I've seen a couple times now where, they do use sports. I just was at one of my daughter's basketball. She does middle school basketball, and she had to do YMCA and do stuff over the years to make the B team. And so I'm listening to the coaches say, hey, we had tryouts. We had 80 girls try out for an A team and a B team. And congrats, your daughter made the B team. And I'm like, I don't know how to feel about that, because what happened to the 60-something girls that didn't have a chance to play? I mean, they're provided, because they may have wanted to try and pick up a sport at that point, they're provided with no community, no opportunity for participation. I think there's just leveraging our clubs in that space, a lot of opportunity there. I think a major strength of Ultimate is the robust college programs. I'd love to work collectively to continue to elevate and tell the story of the player pathway. A plus on the Ultimate side is the pathway from getting started to, if you want to play for a college program, if you want to play for a national team, or even if you want to play semi-professionally, it's pretty clear, and it's not as splintered. I will tell you, coming from the hockey space, it's not quite as clean and messy. I'm not trying to, it's just different. And it even got a little messier recently with the NCAA changes. So there's a lot of different pathways that doesn't make it very clear. And to go between program to program, it's not always clear, because between travel and rec and what league is what, and how many A's you're going to put past your competition, your AAA, AA. Here provides a space where you can play different ways that matches you. You can see a pathway in your community, and I'm really excited to learn more from the people in those spaces of how I can help them, and the team can help them connect with more kids and tell them that space. So I still have some more to learn, engage with the master's programs. I haven't quite got there yet. I just hearing some of the stories from folks, I'm like, I think I could do that. I wouldn't be good, but it's been a while since I played. I only played recreation. I have admitted to the staff game, and I set them in, and hopefully a surgically repaired shoulder can hold up, and what everything I consumed last week for Thanksgiving doesn't slow me down too much. But I think there's that recreational piece too. Like I've seen it from adults. That is by far the fastest growing part of the hockey landscape where I came from. And it's not people that played. It's a lot of new people, which is pretty intimidating as an adult to pick up a new sport. And I think there's a lot to be done in girls sport. And girls just playing in sports, it's a very much a change in mindsets of parents. It's just as a hockey example, too many times the people I found a little older than me, they had a son and a daughter, and the son played hockey and the daughter got a figure skate. And it's like, well, why? Well, because she's a girl. But why? I was very fortunate in the hockey landscape that we were able to do a lot of focus with the help of a lot of dedicated partners, volunteers that at the 8 and under specifically, like you hear me talk a lot about growth. That's where we found that where we can make the most impact. Girls over a decade, we grew 8 and under by almost 96%. Like it's just so almost 1/3 of the kids coming to AU is now female. Obviously, having 3 daughters in this space, providing them with an atmosphere and things that they can do with other girls makes a monumental opportunity. So I think just that shift in mindset of, and even what you see on TV and be consumed between what WNBA and what's front and center with all of women's sports, and even on the hockey side, the PWHL, like they're growing escapes. They're doing a exhibition game in Denver up the road, and I think it's sold out within a couple days. So there's just so much opportunity for us to tell that story and get kids involved and show them where communities that wait for them and what it means.
Speaking of the professional side of the game and the spectator side of the game, I know USA Hockey has relationships with the pro leagues, including the NHL. That has been something that has largely been avoided by USAU in terms of partnering in any meaningful way with the UFA, PUL, and WUL. Is that something that you would like to see change?
I think it'd be definitely something I'd like to explore just because we're all invested in the same thing of growing the sport. Almost going back to my example earlier of when you get someone playing the sport, they're most likely to become a fan of the sport, and then their parents are becoming a fan, and maybe that sibling's being toted along to be a fan too. And vice versa. If they are a fan, we're more likely to get them to want to grab a disc and hit the field. So it is. I've had some initial conversations with the UFA, but I still have more talks to do in the coming weeks. Thanksgiving kind of got in the way where I'm like, wait, no one's working this week? What the heck? I'm trying to get caught up here, everybody. So uh, at the same time, it's good to let my brain cool off for a couple of days last week. But yeah, it's something definitely I'd like to explore and learn more about their vision, where they're going, and where we intersect in some spaces.
I think one of the other challenges Ultimate has faced, as so many do, is finding those sources of revenue that can help drive growth. We don't have major TV contracts or anything like that in Ultimate that are helping bring in that advertising revenue and the like. Where do you see Ultimate being able to add that type of revenue, particularly from external sources? Where are areas where you could see that growth that can help enable additional resources into our community?
I see a lot of potential with the foundation. I've actually spent a significant amount of time my first 4 weeks with that, and their president, Adam Goff, just going strategically how we're going to evolve it. I think I just got done doing my Giving Tuesday. I donated to the USA Hockey Foundation. If any of you guys want to put some money down, I'm happy to see it come in. But as we evolve that and rally some more resources around it, I think that's going to be a tremendous piece to getting more discs in hands. Another piece that's interesting as we look is, and I've been reaching out to some people in the field of sponsorship, partnership, marketing, and getting their feel. Ultimate, and I have a lot of respect for it. So it's a strength almost. Is that I find that they have to be very connected to a brand. Like it's got part of the culture has to be. You just can't attach a corporate sponsor or an endemic partner and expect people to go, great, I'm ready to use it, send it on over. It's got to really feel, connect, have a value system that the Ultimate community wants to use. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there. I needed, with my team, do a lot of work and figuring out where those partners are and those brands are that want to have the same value system and be connected with our group. So that I'm learning a lot about, and I think it's going to take a lot more investment revenue-wise. So long story short, right now it's been diving deep first in the foundation, and we'll evolve from there.
We've gotten some great questions from some of our subscribers. I wanted to ask, and again, this might be a tricky one, but you're coming in from the outside, and so I think you have a great opportunity to maybe have a good answer here. What's a blind spot that you feel like the Ultimate community has that is maybe clear to you as an outsider perspective, but maybe we wouldn't notice inside?
I thought of something the other day that it obviously brings a little bit of a smile to my face because I kind of get it, but I'm learning because I don't want to make assumptions on it. Is I've had people say this to me a couple times, so it wasn't like one off where I was like, "That's interesting." It's been a thread where everyone's like, "Hey, we're excited to have you. I really want you to help grow the sport, but just don't grow it too much because I kind of like that's niche." And so I'm like sitting there going, "So you want growth, but you don't want growth, and then I take it more as like grow it organically and grow it, with, but that it keeps its soul, for lack of a better term, like that it keeps its essence of what makes it special. Um, so it's almost a blind spot, right? That's not all that unique to hockey, as much as hockey was bigger in this sense. It's in the hockey in the youth sports world is quite small and very niche too, and it almost gets in people's way where We want to be inclusive, but then we also want to be exclusive. And so it's just navigating that space and helping people come to the table to be a part of the process of that growth and understanding who's at the door, how do we let them in, how do we make them feel welcome. But it's a little bit of a blind spot too, if that makes sense, where they like their community. They don't want to lose their space in the community. They don't want to become too mainstream where now it's hard for them to get on the field, or you get a bunch of people, I imagine, that come to the field that don't get the ideals or understand the spirit of the game, and then it kind of ruins that experience for lack of better terms, hardcore ultimate people.
I feel like over the years there's been a long term shift further towards the let's make this mainstream crowd. I feel like even when I first started Ulti World, it felt a little more 50-50, 60-40. Like I want this to stay niche. I don't want a bunch of people flooding in. That's why I joined the sport, is to get away from some of those traditional sports ideals. But now I think the pendulum's kind of swung towards we want to be more like what we see on TV and in some of the other major sports. I'm actually curious more about how you see Ultimate as relative to some of the other sports. One of our subscribers brought up the idea that a lot of sports have this pyramid where you have a lot of people participating at the youth level, and as you go up higher in both age and competition level, you get a smaller and smaller group of participants, fewer high school players than college players, than semi-pro professional players. A lot of sports are organized that way. Individual sports might be the other way, where you have a lot of adult participants who are driving the action of the sport. Ultimate's in kind of a weird spot. If it does feel like a lot of the adult participants are driving the sport, but the youth is an area for growth. How do you see Ultimate as compared to those other sports? Do you think it should look more like what hockey or football looks like with that other shaped pyramid, or is there a different outlet for Ultimate?
I'd like to look at it in a different way. I get what you're saying, the pyramid format of just attrition when it comes along with aging up. I think with the accessibility of the sport and what it can offer, it's almost an inverted pyramid a little bit, where the masters are much more wider, and it builds up. There's not many youth playing. If we can expand that youth, for lack of a better term, I made it past geometry, I think. Get it more to a square, where it's more cylinder. They can go up along the way, just for long-term growth, and to, if anything, yes, the pyramid will get bigger, the upside down pyramid, because there's maybe more college players, more masters, more club players. But at this point, I just want to expand the bottom a little bit, just so we can have more of an inflow and sustainability for local youth programs that can partner with the next step of clubs and whatnot. I
I
don't
know
I don't
that
particularly like the pyramid otherwise, because it just eliminates too many kids from and adults from a space just on resources.
yeah, I mean, we growing the game at the youth level is like easily the most obvious path for the sport to succeed, I think. All right, two quick hockey sort of related questions. One is, many times over the years, people have asked about, should Ultimate get NCAA status? Should Ultimate try to become a varsity sport in high school systems? Obviously, hockey has a lot of experience in this arena. Do you think that that's something that's even should be in the future vision for Ultimate, or is it not a realistic path right now?
I don't know about the NCAA side. That is such a volatile space right now. I almost see volatile in the sense of that it's changing so rapidly. Like, even going to the hockey piece, they, not to go too deep into it, but they just recently, like last month, changed a ruling where players that play in this Canadian development system that would get stipends and would make them ineligible are now eligible to play college hockey. And it's changing. I mean, they're talking about college programs partnering with these junior programs, and it's put everything in a little disarray. So I'm not quite ready for that scenario yet, but I think with Ultimate, there's a really good system and a really good community and a space, quite honestly, for people that just want to identify with their school and play a sport at the same time. So I don't know if NCAA at this point is something that is necessary. The high school wise, I would love for it to be a recognized federation sport. Now, with that said, I know that's going to matter state to state. As a hockey reference, not to keep going hockey reference, not every state in hockey recognizes it as a high school federation sport. And so USA Hockey steps in for some of those states and fills a space where, like, for instance, Colorado, where I'm at now, it's a federation sport. And it's got a lot of positives, but the hard part is it's a very short season. It's November to like February. So inevitably, the kids have to play an additional season beforehand with their high school. That's USA Hockey. That started in August. So they play 2 seasons, maybe not the same kids. So it's kind of dysfunctional in that way. And then you go to a place like Illinois, the state of Illinois doesn't recognize ice hockey as a varsity sport. So, they got organized and they registered with USA Hockey, but they run it as if everyone is represented by the sport, like they would get, a letter from their high school or whatnot. And as a part of it, they set up development camps for those kids that are a part of it that to get seen to potentially junior or college or a college club. And USA Hockey runs a high school national championship that brings some of those federation kids in. So you can do a little bit of both, but I think it's just got to be not one answer for everybody. Obviously, every geography, every area is going to need something different where they're at in that space.
All right. Last thing. If you get a yellow card, hard foul, penalty box, should we bring it to Ultimate?
Penalty box? I don't think so. It's it's more hassle than it's worth. I kind of like how we have it now, the yellow cards, and keep it on the field of play. We can try. Once again, I've said pilot like 72 times in this interview, so let's pilot it out and see what we can do.
Yes. You Keith and I will be big fans of piloting new rules. So make it happen. Kevin, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with us.
Oh, it's great. Great getting to meet you. Looking forward to getting to chat and work with both of you for a long time.
You bet. Welcome to the Ultimate Universe. Kevin Erlenbach with us on Deep Look. Are we taking a break? Yeah, we sure are. Give us a like and a subscribe over on YouTube, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
I think we both have pretty high spice tolerances. I think we could make it through.
That one's got a little heat.
Yeah, it's sticking with you a little bit. It's hot. That's happening. That's happening here.
Nutritional yeast, canola oil.
Oh.
And there's a little ghost pepper powder in there too.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, it's hard to talk. It's hard to talk. Woo.
Welcome to Deep Look Hot Twos.
Pray for us.
Yeah.
Keith, we should have made Kevin eat the Hot Ones wings. Every question. Next wing.
I don't know. Maybe with hockey themes, it should be just colder and colder wings, just till they're deep frozen.
Straight out of the dry ice. Thanks again to Kevin for coming on. I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, he's still trying to get his bearings. Like, this is not a hire from within the Ultimate world. So I'm hearing the right kind of stuff though, Keith, when you're talking about like being willing to pivot, being willing to be flexible, understanding that there are differences between various parts of the country and how the Ultimate has developed there. That to me feels like a really important piece of what Ultimate's next phase of growth is going to need, because you can't just apply a one size fits all policy. I think we learned that very clearly over the last 10 years.
And I think some of the things that we kind of thought from what was highlighted when he was hired, still ring true, still sound good when you're talking about the experience growing the sport at the youth level, with inclusivity, particularly helping, you know, add to the participation and rates of girl and women athletes. I think that's stuff that we love to hear. I think fits a lot with what people want to see in Ultimate. Plus, you have being, the liaison with the elite level, so to speak, in hockey. I think that that's something that will probably be pretty important in Ultimate, given how much of Ultimate is driven by those high buy-in elite level players. So I think there's a lot of different ways in which Kevin seems like he aligns well with what USA Ultimate should be looking to do in the future.
Uh, we'll certainly have more to come on how the leadership under Kevin, how things change at USA Ultimate, and I think we'll start to see some of that stuff playing out in 2025. Let's get to some news this week. Oh, I'm sorry. Please, Keith.
When did the strategic plan drop again? What was that, like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, something like that?
Something like that.
Maybe
even
we're
a little
still
longer than
waiting
that.
for we're still waiting for the actionable, like, this is what we're going to do based on these ideas plan, right?
Now,
I mean, I'm sure
crazy,
getting Kevin in place is part of what needed to happen to get them there, but
crazy fact: it was actually over a year ago that they dropped it.
no way.
October 18th, 2023.
All right, well, I'm gonna need some
Yeah,
bullet
I
points
mean,
about what.
they got the principles, they got the stuff. I feel like I'm starting to see some things changing, right? They've consolidated the youth department. Um, they are looking to make changes to the structure of Youth Ultimate. Um, I think I mean, they say like semi-pro collaboration is going to start, but it is interesting, right? That this was supposed to be 2024 to 2026 strategic plan. I'm not totally sure like a lot has changed over the last year. It's been a lame duck session for Tom Crawford. But to me, I feel like things didn't creating a new strategic plan when you know you're going to get a new CEO is kind of a weird thing to do, because now you're really just sort of like waiting for the new guy to start things. And so now he's here, and I think 2025 is when we'll start to see stuff really feel like it's starting to, come into view.
Yeah, and you don't need to necessarily announce the public point by point what you're going to change to start enacting those things. It is possible that those programs are starting to take shape. We talked about the changes that we've seen at the youth level. We've seen different announcements as it pertains to youth clubs and the state-based organizations, how those interactions are going to happen. So it's not like nothing is happening during this period of time, and that the lack of an announcement about the point by point, here's what we're actually going to
Absolutely.
do to follow the strategic plan, that stuff means that none of those things are happening. But I think people would like to see that, and it's going to be a little weird if they drop it, early 2025 when we're halfway through that 2024 to 2026 period. I think we're probably going to see that strategic plan get an extension, because it's going to be required in order to enact the things that they're
To actually
talking
do the
about in
thing.
it. So
One of the things
yes.
in there, and it was like so low key in the original announcement, it says, provide an improved solution to event and sport management systems for LDOs, which is local disc organizations. Basically, what that means is they're completely overhauling the back end of the USAU site. I'm hearing that's going to be dropping like in a month or two. So, I mean, that could
What?
be
Ooh.
a massive, massive, massive change to how we engage with like USAU online. And it's obviously been a complete and utter disaster weakness for a long time. But their developers and tech folks are really good. Like, people may not know this, but they have developed an API that we are using in our broadcasts now so that when you see the ticker on the bottom of the screen, that's all being driven by USAU data. And like even a couple years ago, it wouldn't have even been feasible for them to put something like that together. They just didn't have the personnel. So now they do, and I think we're going to see a rollout of, new and improved score reporter basically, and I am excited for that.
That would be much appreciated, both from like obviously as a fan, as a media person who follows Ultimate, but also I think if there is a strong centralized place for orgs to run leagues, that would be great. I mean, it's never good when you're the organization who centralizes everything, when you're that governing body and there's third party apps who are handling all these local leagues and stuff. So I think that would be, if that kind of tool could exist uh, that your partners, your state-based organizations can operate with, I think that would be a benefit that people would see as a worthwhile one, which I think is one of the areas that USA Ultimate has struggled in. When you talked about that friction between state-based orgs and LDOs and USA Ultimate, I think part of that has been the value prop. Is what are you giving us besides insurance and YCCs? So I
100%.
think that would be a key thing to add.
Hey, I think we actually didn't talk about this. This news came out about a month ago. USAU awarded $30,000 in grants to 6 local disc orgs via its new Youth Growth Grant Program. One of those, the organizations chosen were Altitude Ultimate, Central Iowa Ultimate, Maine Ultimate, Pittsburgh Ultimate, Triangle Ultimate, and the Connecticut Ultimate Club. Keith, can you say a little more? Because I know you're on the board now and you're involved in Connecticut. What is this money? How much did you get, if you know the answer to that? And like, what are you using it for?
So we did get in the neighborhood of about $5,000, which is directed towards youth initiatives, particularly ones that target underrepresented groups within our community. So for us, that's going to help fund our. I ran an event this fall, a pilot event that we called UltiFest. That was basically just a chance for middle school and high school players to come out and do kind of a celebration of Ultimate, get to know each other, do a little bit of skill building too. So it was like a clinic slash tournament. We did some skills competitions, hoping to grow that over the course of the year. I think we might try and run it again in the spring. So maybe we'll have a spring and a fall edition. And hopefully that not only gives us a chance to interact with the kids, get to know them, and have them get to know each other, but also do some like skill building and build some more community here. And potentially reach out to kids who otherwise might not be able to participate because maybe their school doesn't have a team, or maybe they're unfamiliar with the sport. Maybe finding ways to reach out to kids who otherwise don't have access. So those types of programs are the kinds of things that we're going to be able to fund with that money, in addition to support for YCC, potentially youth leagues down the road. If we can continue to see this kind of grant, something we're helping fund actual youth events, leagues, hat tournaments, one-off competitions, things like that. So that's how we're directing the money, and it's good to see. It's the support is obviously welcome, but we all know that like one of the main things that USAU can help do is redirect funding to organizations to help support them, because LDOs often are running on shoestring budgets. You're talking about tiny margins that you're getting off of leagues where you can. Sometimes you take losses on an event, you host an event, and you need 100 people to show up and 88 show up or whatever. And that's not an inconsiderable problem to have if you're an LDO. So these types of initiatives can be really helpful.
Well, it's very cool. Love to see money getting used in this way by USAU. All right, we got a lot to do, so let's keep moving. Dallas Legion, the UFA franchise, has, as is put by the UFA, suspended operations, aka adios. The franchise is folding after the 2024 season. Remember when the then Dallas Roughnecks came into the league, owned by Jim Garretzer, they immediately came in, won all their games, and won the title. I mean, Bo and Dylan and Jimmy. I mean, they had a mega team, and this was one of the model franchises in the league. I mean, they were getting fans out, and they had all the big name stars, and then it slowly kind of got a little bit worse. Then Jim sold the team. Then the team was god awful. I mean, this was one of the worst programs in the entire sport. and now they're gone. In some ways, it's not totally shocking considering that, it felt like once Garancer left that, like, was there enough there to keep this thriving? It's like Dallas is not exactly a hotbed for Ultimate, especially with 2 other Texas teams in the UFA. So what do you make of this, Keith?
I mean, the UFA graveyard expands, adds a member to the roster of franchises who've come and gone. I'm sure everybody can name their favorite one. Maybe they'll have like a division that's just alums of these teams coming together for a tournament or whatever. But it is interesting to see when you think about how the Roughnecks started things in Dallas. But I think even back then there were questions about, okay, how sustainable is it to spend a bunch of money importing top level players to Dallas? And I think that it's clear that was never going to be a sustainable operation. And the hard part was they weren't able to take all that momentum and use it to sustain them in the long term. I think they were also probably hurt by the expansion adding Houston. I'm sure that didn't help when it thins out the talent pool in Texas. But is it a huge surprise? No. I mean, the organization has struggled to be competitive over the past handful of seasons. And aside from Detroit, basically everybody who struggled at this level eventually folds. Strike up another one for the Mechanics, another W, so to speak, as they outlast the other team.
We never got the toilet bowl, Dallas versus Detroit. We were waiting for it.
I wanted it so bad. They really missed on not giving us that last year.
This is the third
Who's used
team
to play? That's like 7 of their games a year is against Dallas. Who are they going to play now?
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to talk about that in a second. This is the third team that has won a championship to cease to exist. The Philadelphia Spinners, who won the inaugural title and then created the MLU before that faded out. And then the San Francisco Flamethrowers, who won the 2017 championship before folding a couple of years ago. So this does take the South Division from an already thin 5 teams down to 4 teams. Houston, Austin, Atlanta, and Carolina. So clearly they are going to need to rebalance. What are they going to do you think? The biggest
they're going to add LA,
division
obviously.
is the West.
That's what you do. When you're missing a team in the South, just put Los Angeles in it.
You have the teams, the closest teams that might make sense would be Colorado, which moving them from the West to the South, I mean, it's not exactly a southern location in a traditional sense. On the other hand, there's too many teams in the West already. So the other thing they could do is maybe move DC into the South, but that kind of feels like you still then have a too big West relative to the rest of the division. And it's so much easier for DC to play Philly and New York than it is for them to go down and play Atlanta and Carolina, and then of course the Texas teams.
I don't know, maybe they gotta do independence like NCAA football. You just make your own schedule. Texas teams, figure it out. No, they're probably gonna. They may not get to full balance. We've seen the postseason arrangements not exactly be perfect, right? We've seen them; they're not symmetrical across divisions in some cases. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a solution like that, where there are not the same number of teams qualifying from each division to reach the postseason.
Yeah, I think Colorado moving to the South is the most obvious solution because
I think that's
already
the most
having
likely
to fly
one.
to a lot of games, and them going to Texas is relatively easy. They could even drive if they wanted to, and then yeah, sure, you're flying out to Carolina, Atlanta, which is maybe a little bit further of a trip than going out to California, but you're still flying one way or another. And so that would be my guess. That would give the South 5 teams, the West 6, the East 6, and the Central 6.
I don't know. I'm hearing LA to Atlanta flights are cheap.
That's what they say. So we'll see what comes of that, and if there's going to be any potential other changes to the league. A little bit of buzz about a potential team getting added. We'll see.
Team
Let's
Multiworld
see.
joining the UFA. I know.
Hey, we got the players. We're ready. It's time for our trivia question of the week.
All right, Charlie. This week's trivia question of the week. This actually, I'll pull back the curtain. We're planning. We're going to plug this. We're planning 12 days of College Ultimate. That's going to be coming up soon on the site. So keep an eye out for that. That'll kick off later in the month. But one of the things we were thinking about is about teams that have reached nationals or not reached nationals, and how they might do in the coming season. And I ended up digging through the history. And Charlie, I wanted to find who's the team who's missed the bracket the most in their history. So I dug back in.
As in, they have made it to college nationals,
made it to nationals,
and then they have
failed to
missed
reach
the bracket.
Yeah. So Charlie,
All time.
which team has missed the bracket the most in College Ultimate history?
Oh my gosh. So you want to be a good team in a really bad region. I'm gonna go, and then I don't know if this is the right idea, because back in the day, this is all time or since the redraw.
This is I think I could probably give you both, because I'll give you a hint that the team with the all-time lead, it's a lot of them came in the early days.
Okay,
Not
so
all
it's
of
like
them, but a lot of them.
okay, got it. I really don't have a lot to go off of here, but I'm gonna say Cornell, because they were a Metro East team. I know they were good for a little while, but I bet that they used to go, and it's never been a strong area for Ultimate, so I think they lost a lot.
That is a fair guess, and I think they would probably tie for first in just the modern age of Ultimate, as all six of their qualifications of their times that they've reached nationals and not made the bracket have come since the redraw. But prior to
That makes
that, they
sense.
had never done that. So it is not Cornell. They were far too
Okay.
successful in their early years.
When they went,
in
they
the
were
men's division.
good because they were in the bigger region and with Pitt and stuff, and they
Well, I
went to
mean, they were at
semis.
least making quarters, which at that end was also easier. So maybe they were good per se, but they made finals. They made 6 semifinals, seven semifinals. So don't sleep on Cornell.
I'm not sleeping. I'm aware. Listen, they were my foe. They were my nemesis. I know plenty about Cornell. So what's the answer?
All right. So
Some
the answer, and I was surprised by how
third-tier
big a number
California
it is.
team?
So I'll give you a couple things, because
Okay.
the answer is the Kansas Horizontals, who
Get out of here.
So I came across two teams that had achieved this feat 7 times, which are the Georgia women and the Illinois men. And I was like, wow,
Illinois men was
that's
another
probably
team I was thinking of guessing.
maybe I'll find another team with 7. Kansas has done it 11 times. And in fact,
Wow.
11 of their 16 appearances, they failed to make it out of the pool play into the bracket, which is a huge lead comparably
Yes.
to like Georgia, who's 7 out of 14 in the women's division, and Illinois, who's 7 out of 10, which is also not good. Georgia also, I'll say, has the longest active streak of any. They're tied with Binghamton. 4 straight years they've reached nationals and have failed to make the bracket. So those are your longest active streaks too. You get a little bonus trivia in there.
So Kansas, have they even gone to nationals since the redraw?
Let's see. Kansas's
I don't believe Kansas has gone to
appearance-
nationals since I've been at Ulti World since 2012.
Their last appearance was 2010.
There you go. So that was before the redraw. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's cool you went to nationals a lot.
They did. I mean, they made it in 8 straight years to start Ultimate's history. So they had a good run. Maybe the Horizontals
Very
will come
solid.
back. Time's a flat circle.
It's an awesome team name. It's time to get to our 2 early college predictions. This is the other
Oh, it is
side of the
definitely too
spectrum
early.
from that trivia question. So it's not the college season isn't started. It's not starting for another month, but we're gonna get our semis picks in right now. Preseason,
Are you going to pick Kansas?
gotta ride the hype
Break
train.
the streak?
Kansas to semis. That would be I'll put that in my bold predictions episode, Keith.
Outlandish pick. If imagine you were right. If you were right about that, then like the show's over. You've won deep
Shut it
look.
down. Let's go home.
Yeah.
I've won. Someone will replace me on deep look. But let's get into it. Who's making semis in 2025 at college nationals?
I bet you, Charlie. I bet that when we make our picks, we're gonna have 6 or 7 of the same teams. I think across the 2 divisions.
I think there's
We
some
may be,
pretty obvious consensus.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's I might have to make a late change. I'm nervous about one of my selections.
Well, I can tell
but
you. Would you want to start in the men's division or the women's division?
let's start in the women's division.
So I feel really confident about some of the teams that I think we will both pick.
Okay.
Which is I think Vermont is the one that I would be shocked if you went the other
My
way.
one question is, I think I heard Kennedy McCarthy is back for one more. Is that correct?
I don't think so, but I guess it's possible. I'm pretty sure
I don't
she's
know.
not there, but
She's okay. So
I don't
she's
know what's
done.
possible. But I mean, she was playing with Molly Brown. Right? She maybe live in Colorado.
That's a great
I don't
point.
know.
That's a great point. Maybe it's over.
That said,
Even
they
so,
do not
they're
need
so
Kennedy McCarthy to
stacked.
be really good.
No, and great. They just have a tremendous recruiting class once again. The pipeline is strong for UVM.
Yeah, they've been
Somebody in the
recruiting
Discord is
well
letting
for
me
years.
know
They have
that Kennedy's done. So
so
scratch that.
is the YouTube chat. So you're good.
Very good. All
Um,
right, it makes sense.
But they're still we haven't actually sat down to have these conversations in the office. I expect them to start as the number 1 ranked team in the power rankings.
Wow, is that right? I mean, given the way that they lost last year, is it? I know they're good, but like, is the mental block too high?
Maybe, and
They
I think there
never
will
should
be
have
a
lost that
compelling
game.
argument for UNC. I mean, should UNC have won the game that they won?
Yeah, that's fair.
They did, and then they went into the finals and clobbered Stanford. So that from there, though, I think there's an interesting group of teams to pick from. So this is, I think, where we may diverge. But I expect that we will both end up picking UBC and UNC. I think maybe we'll have one variable team here. I think
will
that there are a
say,
bunch of teams you could pick.
I was fence sitting about UNC, but ultimately I have to remind myself that they still have a lot of really good players and they have the programmatic legacy that generates success over time. And
I
so
knew
I
you
just
would
have
say
to remind
this.
myself of that. I mean, it's just true.
I think yeah. I mean, they bring back great players. They'll have Bella Russell and Kaylin Louder. They're going to be really good. Allie Riley's back. Erica Birdsong's back. They're going to be good. Like, and I think that the fact that they're extremely well coached and experienced is going to continue to be a power move for them. It's going to be a superpower for them. So I think that they're going to be right there. And then I think UBC, I think you'll end up picking them. I think I probably will too. But after that, I think you're talking about UBC, Colorado, Stanford, Oregon, potentially Carleton. It's kind of a deep group.
I'm really struggling to make my picks. I'm like making
It's hard to
literal
decide to
changes
make your
right
cut.
now. I think
Colorado's been recruiting well. They get Fiona Cash in as a grad student
huge.
this year.
It's huge.
Yeah, she's going to fit really well.
Ultimately, I'll just give you my picks. I'm fine. These are gonna be my final 2 early answers. I'm going UVM, UNC, UBC, Colorado. I s-
I
cut
I
I
think that makes
cut
sense.
Carleton and Oregon late.
Yeah, those two teams are that's kind of where I think I feel like someone's gonna replay this tape in May when Stanford makes it, and we're like discounting Stanford.
Carleton's
I feel like
Carleton's
that's
rookie
gonna happen.
class is crazy. No. Stanford. I don't think they have the horses
I don't know.
because
That's we said
unfortunately,
that last year, and they still have Sage McGinley Smith and Harper Bear. Yet they don't have Esther Philippek. She's probably gonna miss the whole season, which is disappointing, of
knee
course.
injury. Yeah, it's
But
terrible.
they're the coaching superpower, the players you've never heard of, those rookies and grad students, they're going to be really good by the end of the year. Stanford's going to come back again. UBC, I'm going to pick them and UNC as I predicted, so to speak. It is tough though for me, Colorado, Carleton, Oregon, and I think UNC and UBC are also in that group. Like I totally can see coming up with some combination of those teams. I'm going to have to cut some teams that I think are talented enough and good enough to make semifinals. Is what I'm
Yeah,
getting
I
at.
think it's an interesting year. Like now that we're sitting and looking at it, because it's like there are 7 or 8 teams that are really semis quality.
Somebody in the YouTube comment shooting their shot and said, "Carlton's going to make it next year when they get Chloe Akimi." Is it
Oh
is
no!
it just a rumor or is it just another?
Oh
Is it the
no!
Washington, the Seattle, the Carlton
but
pipeline just
but
filled
wait,
in?
like is she a senior this year? She is, right?
Yes, yeah. This is
So
the
she
year.
probably has already made a college decision, or like we'll be finding out any time. Wow!
Oh my god, what if they both?
If
What
she
if
goes to
she and
Carleton,
Vivian
they're going to
go?
win multiple titles. They're going to win multiple titles in the next like 3 years.
We're gonna have to have a banner at the top of the site for Chloe Akimi's college choice.
Oh my gosh, it feels that way.
Look, I'm gonna stand for the team that I feel like I've been waiting for so long, and that's Oregon. Charles Waybright may win Player of the Year this year. Cyrus Linkfield, another All American quality player. They had a great recruiting class last year. Miko Magnet's going to be awesome. I'm going to buy in on this Oregon team again. It's early. This is the time to be bold. Uh, so this is it. I'm gonna jump in early and hope that it all works out. But yeah, it's a tough pick. So I'm gonna end up with UVM, Oregon, UBC, and UNC, and be looking on the outside in for Colorado uh, and Stanford and Carleton. Yeah, tough picks.
Carleton could do it. They could definitely get there. All right, who's in your finals picks then?
Oh, we gotta make our finals picks too.
Come on, what do you think this is?
Give me UVM and UBC. This is it for UBC. They're
This is
finally
it?
they're gonna make it. They're getting to the finals.
I can't do it. I'm going UVM UNC. And I'm going Vermont to win it all.
I knew you would. I'm taking UBC, baby. Let's ride, birds.
Hype, hype, hype. Folks telling me in the chat that college acceptances are not out yet. All right. Is there any world in which Chloe Hakimi doesn't get accepted to Carleton if she applied? Probably not.
Is it
That's
too
one
late
that
for Chloe Hakimi to apply to Wesleyan? That's the real question?
All right, so those are our picks in the women's side. Let's talk men's. Where do you feel like we're going to have consensus here? I'm curious.
All right. So I feel confident that we will both pick Oregon, UNC, and Colorado. Those are the three schools I think we're both going to pick. I think Micah Glass alone. Oregon could be Micah Glass and some middle schoolers, and I think you would pick them. I think everybody is so high on Micah Glass stock right now that they not picking Micah Glass would be crazy. And then guess what? It's not a bunch of middle schoolers. It's a really good team. So I think Oregon's going to be riding high after the Rhino success at nationals. I think UNC, they've got enough returning. You know what you're going to get with UNC. And I expect that we'll end up with Colorado. Those are the three teams that I think we will both pick.
Well, Keith, you're spot on. Uh, you look at the strength of the top end of those schools. So first of all, UNC, right? Their program, they're going to be strong every year, regardless. But you look at the top players there, and you've got to feel good about them at least getting to semis, right? They've made semis 8 years in a row. Is that the stat now? It's some insane number. Um,
I think 8 is right.
so that's just straight up. And then you got Tobias Brooks and a really strong like nucleus at Colorado, Micah Glass and company at Oregon. Some of these teams are not going to be like the hype right now is around some of these rookie classes that are so strong for teams like Carleton, Vermont. They're getting these awesome recruiting classes, but I don't know if it's going to be enough now for them to succeed and go all the way to semis right away. But I think in a couple of years for sure. I'm actually going to go for my fourth school with a team that is going to be stacked at the top end of its roster with seniors and juniors, and that's UMass. I think UMass is going to go to semis. They kind of had a disappointing season last year after the really successful 2023 season. And I think they're going to get back there because even though they're not necessarily picking up a ton of great recruits this season, this is the team that's built to win now, and I expect them to do really well.
Well, they've been. I mean, they've had players. It feels like in the running for Rookie of the Year for 3 or 4 straight years, including last year when they had a strong rookie class. I wouldn't sell their rookie class this year that short either. I mean, I think that they're still going to be bringing in a strong group. For me, it's not necessarily a question of talent. It's just like, how everybody makes the Carleton jokes that we see Carleton's roster come out, their recruiting class, the U24 picks. It's like, oh, well, how are they going to blow it at regionals this year? All everybody's getting off their cut jokes. I get it. It's funny. Why is UMass not getting that same treatment, right? Like, I don't know. Like, yes, they went to semifinals, but we have also seen UMass
blue collar school.
Fair. We've seen UMass fumble
lunch
the ball
pail school. Carleton is on their like golden tower in wherever they are, Northfield.
I don't know, man. This team gives me those vibes. They're gonna find a way to mess it up. And there are enough good candidates for me to pick from otherwise. So I think I am gonna take those 3 teams for the reasons you listed. I'm really high on that Oregon team, as I think I'm gonna find out in a second. I'm ready for Cut. I've been waiting for Cut to be really good. I think that they potentially missed out 2 years ago when Declan Miller was hurt for nationals. I think he's going to be a player of the year quality player. I think that they're returning good. It's not just this year's recruiting class, which I think will be instant impact. But yeah, I think it's easy to overstate how much rookie class is going to impact a team. But it's last year's rookie class and the year before that I think you're really going to see come into their own this year. So they've recruited well for the past few years. I think Carleton has the goods.
When have they not recruited well?
Fair.
Didn't they miss nationals with Joe White on their roster?
Oh yeah. The Carleton foibles are famous.
What are they doing? What are they doing? Like, actually, they get the most talent every single year, and they underperform year after year after year after year. You got to make a change. You have to. This incoming class is awesome. It is awesome. They have Axel Olsen, Nate Morgan, Thomas Shope as the headliners with depth. Like, these are 3 superb high school players, like 5-star rookies. So they've been doing this every year, though. I'm tired of seeing them not. I feel like the offense they play doesn't make sense to me. New coach, let's go. Change it up.
Are you sure it's just not a group of alums like in?
It is, but I don't know what to tell you.
Running around because that's what I see every year.
If you took a premier college coach and you put them at Carleton, they would be in the finals every season, and they might win every other year. That's just facts. The quality of the talent is undeniable. So let's see. Maybe this is the year.
It's funny because the culture and history of the team is what draws players in, but like you got to feel like there's something about the culture of the org that keeps them from living up to their talent every year. So
Something.
I don't know. Something's there.
Too
That
many
said, I'm picking
cooks?
cut.
I don't know.
I think the culture's
You're
good
doing
this
it.
year. Well, come on, good culture. Let's do it. Yeah,
All
as
right. So
someone
Keith's
pointed out in
going
the chat,
Colorado.
that UMass class has 2 Junior Worlds players, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Okay.
UMass is again
I'm
having a really good class.
I think they're really good. I think they have all the pieces they need. And rookies can make a difference, but a lot of times not that much, right? Unless they're like truly elite tier, like John Randolph level.
I mean, we still got 6 years running around out here, so it's gonna take up some of the space for.
This is the final 60-year, I think. I think this
Somebody
is the end
told
of the
me
road.
that. I thought next year was the last year, but maybe I'm wrong. So
I'll try to find that out as we continue here. All right, who you got going to the finals?
well, I said I'm high on Oregon, so I'm gonna keep up with Oregon. Maybe they've got some extra karma left over from last year. But on the other side, man, I think I'm gonna take Colorado here. Brooks, Thorson, Shigley, Minfink. I think they're good. I think they're due. So I'm gonna have Oregon and Colorado in the final.
Oh man, I'm not sure UNC quite has enough horses. I'm going to Oregon. Do I think Colorado's got it? No, I'm sticking with UNC. I'm going Oregon UNC. And I got Oregon revenge game. Oregon revenge game. They got. That was bad last year.
That would be some sweet revenge. That would be very tasty, I think.
Yep. All right.
A lot of teams that we were talking about, schools that we represented in both divisions there as the cream of the crop.
Want to let you know, Send It Back continues this week. This is our rewatch series of classic games with the players who played in them. Live Thursday, this December 5th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch on the website or in the Discord. We will have Ring of Fire versus Pony. And you can listen in to the thoughts of the players who are in that game. And you can chat live in the Discord if you're watching along. It will be with Saul Yanuck from Ring and Chris Kocher from Pony. So they'll be breaking down the game for us. It should be a lot of fun. This was an awesome game, Keith.
It was a great game. So looking forward to see what these guys have to say about it.
And don't miss next week's. We will have Scandal versus Fury from 2023 Pro Championships. Claire Trope, Cami Groom, and Anna Nazarov will be breaking down that one. Should be a lot of fun. Of course, all players who played in this year's final as well. So should be really cool. So that one will be December 12th. So tune in live on Ultiworld or in the Ultiworld Discord. You got to be a subscriber to check it out. So go to ultiworld.com/subscribe to sign up and enjoy these Send It Backs all month long. It's time for our mailbag question of the week. Keith, what do we got?
All right. This week's mailbag question of the week. Would Ultiworld consider hosting their own invite tournaments like All-Star Games or the Western, or so I guess not just tournaments, but showcase games like Western Ultimate League versus PUL Championship Game or All-Star Game, or maybe a tournament like an NIT or a play-in second tier kind of tournament for nationals? That comes in from Baker. What do you think? Would the org ever host our own competitive events? which I guess is in addition to high school national invite.
Well, I will say HSNI has just been an awesome thing. I mean, like, I'm I'm not really the tournament director. Juan Acosta does a lot of the organizing. I am heavily involved on the
Go
media
on.
side, of course, and yeah, go on. Um, and with helping kind of make the tournament happen and doing the invites and all that stuff. And it's become such a really fun part of the high school season, I think. And it's been great to help try to create a championship event and like add some of the elements that I feel like sometimes are missing at college nationals or club nationals. Hey, we do night games on Saturday for the finals. It's awesome. Um, so other tournaments in the future, I mean, potentially. I've always wanted to do something called the Ulti World Cup, which is a 64 team club tournament, straight bracket. And the winning
This is
team
like the
gets a
first
bunch of
time
money.
I'm learning about this with you guys. You've always wanted to do
Yeah,
this. I've never heard about it.
I've always wanted to do it. Ulti World Cup. So you'd still have consolation so that teams would get games even if they, lost in the first round. But, the 64th place team gets to go head to head with Fury and like shoot their shot, you know? And it's one game. You never know. Like we could see a crazy upset. We would try to stream as much as possible. Um, I've just always thought that would be a really fun format that we've never really seen tried much. I know some regionals do this, um, but I've thought about that. I think it'd be very cool to be a bridge to creating something like a WL versus PUL, like crossover title winning championship game, like doing the streaming for that and setting up as an event. I think that's pretty complicated because you don't know the winning teams until you know a couple weeks before you would want to have this event. So could you sell tickets enough to make it worth it? I don't know, but it would be really cool. Um, Second tier, like national college national thing. It's a cool idea, but it's a really difficult time of year for us to like get involved with trying to do the organization of an event like that. I would love to see something like that exist, but we are very busy with all of the work that we have to do at college nationals. So I don't know that that one's in the cards. What do you think, Keith?
All right, I got two for you, Charlie. One, I've joked in our offices about doing this idea in the past, which is a little bit like in the fields 2v2. We're Ulti World playing against and with the community. Ulti World, we're at a field. It could be a college nationals or whatever the day before. Where there's 7 Ulti World people on the line. You put 7 people, whoever you want, on the line on your side. We get the disc. If you score, someone on your team gets a free month of sub. We'll just randomly pick, or you can give it out.
I
One person on your 7 on your line. If
think we
if
got to
we
give it to
score on
everybody.
you, no, if we score on you, then you all got a sub. And only subs can
Oh
guard
wow.
Charlie. Only subs can match up with Charlie. You have to be a subscriber. If you want to dunk on Chuck, then you got a sub. So and you can sub. We'll have somebody with the square card reader right there. Like you want to sign up right now so that you can catch it, go try to roof Chuck. Let's do it. And you get 1 point. It's like campers versus council
Like a
style.
dunk
So we'll
tank.
just well, I mean, it's in an ultimate game. It's kind of hard to do, but yes, that's the plan. And Charlie, you would be free to roof people back, and then you can run your mouth. Like it's totally fine.
But could we just
Just
do a
don't
dunk
don't get
tank?
Scott.
Like at college nationals, I sit out in the vendor village in a dunk tank. And if you're an Ultra World subscriber, you get 1 free shot. Or you can
Sure.
pay, $10 to buy a ball.
The
Uh,
the other idea, which Jacob Blackman brought up in the chat, he said Team USA versus Snubs. I want to do my World Game style, like 4 team tournament with people who want to play World Games. Like I want teams of 14, 7 women matching player, 7 male matching player, playing in that format, so that you can get a sense of how they can compete. We showcase the whole thing. So yeah, I think we should be doing that like in the intervening years between World Games.
it would
The World
be
Games like
tremendous.
invitational.
Tremendous. It's as cool as it would be. The cost associated with like getting all the people to a city and, putting them up in hotels and all that. Like, I just don't know if you could make it work.
Yeah,
I'd love to
what do
say
we
we
have to
could.
charge for the stream for the live stream of that event? It's like $99 to
$100
buy the stream.
PPV.
Yeah,
This is
maybe that's what we need Jake Paul there.
the
So
next
then
Paul
then
versus
we can really
Tyson. Netflix will buy the rights. But I don't rule it out. That's for sure. The Ultimate Swan says the future of Ultimate is next gen and similar traveling tours.
That might be the past of Ultimate Swan. You may have got that backwards.
Feels like we've already tried that. Anyway, if you want to check out the Hot Twos episode, me and Keith eating brutally hot wings and telling you things we shouldn't be talking about on a recorded interview, check out the link in the description. If you're a subscriber, you can check it out. It was a lot of fun. And if you haven't seen it, I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to Kevin Erlenbach for joining us from USAU. And we will be back with you next week. Don't miss Send It Back Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. See you there.
Wesleyan's a great school to play Ultimate at. Just throwing that out there.